Savage with Savage Expedition Gear, here with two of my fellow survivors. We got Ben and Aaron right here. We are on a weekend trip in the wilderness, just thrown out here, and we came out here with a Savage Expedition Gear slab belt and a slab wrist giant. And beyond that, we have a cutting device and one water container that we can boil water in. That's all. The slab belt is made up of 60 to 75 feet of paracord with 20 feet of snare wire and a 2-inch ferro fire rod starting stick. And the slab wrist giant right here is made up of 18 feet of paracord and also has a fire starter stick and about 2 feet of snare wire on the inside. That's what we're going to be using this weekend to survive. This is one of the belts. We're going to use it for lashing poles across here for a big lean-to for the three of us to sleep inside. What I'm going to do to get this cord undone is just take off this belt tip. Against here. Okay. Once that's off, you just take this cord right here and you begin to pull it through. I want this one in all one long line, so I'm gonna pull apart the whole thing. I'm gonna cut right here though, because it has a burn mark on the end and it's gonna get in the way the whole time. Alright, so I'm gonna pull that through. I'm gonna begin to pull this side through. And this is a slow unravel method, but we want, like I said, one full length. I'm going to pull it through on this side, like so, and just keep on going with that. So we'll catch up with you again once I'm done.
So Ben has removed the clasp on the end of the belt and is now
digging in,
cutting the tail end, which Chris says will produce
about like 4 8-foot lengths and one that'll be about 20-25 feet.
So a few more cuts, we can see what we've got. Strong belt.
made of only the most rugged paracord.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, here we go.
Want me to pull on the belt?
Is that working?
Pull on that piece. There you go. That's actually pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. So do you have to go the whole length?
I think you probably stop whenever you have a length that you like.
Oh, and cut it off?
Yeah.
Well, I have my Savage Expedition belt here, and I'm just gonna try to use the flint to strike some sparks on this pile of dried mosses and leaves, see if we can't get something going here.
Alright, so we're trying to build our fire, but it's raining. It's been raining the last like 2 days or so. Everything's drenched, soaked out here. This dead tree right here might be our only hope for dry wood. With this little hatchet, we find that inside looks like we have some decent amount of dry wood. We'll see if we might be able to get something to start up this fire. There we go. Alright.
There it is.
So we're using the jacket here to collect some wood chips for our fire to get it started. We'll see if this method works. So we've got ourselves a fire starting table, and we actually have really good sparks coming off this. It's just about catching something that's gonna burn. It's all so wet.
So since we're having a little trouble with the wet moss, I'm just gonna make a little fuzzy stick here. Oh, there it goes. Just by making thin slits in a piece of wood, and that'll give us a little more surface area for the sparks to catch.
Let's try to get more down in it, down in that dry stuff more.
Look at that.
Oh man. It's gonna rain some slivers down on you.
So we have the smallest of fires going right now.
And we are feeding it.
We're
So
feeding it like it's
this is probably taking
like
about
a newborn baby.
an hour. Please.
Now we're getting a pretty good fire going on our little pile of sticks.
It's now June the 9th.
So now that our fire is growing, we're adding bigger pieces to it. Just a quick fire that we threw together. It's probably been like 3-4 minutes
Yeah.
since we started.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, just a quick fire here.
Okay, so in all honesty, this probably took us about 3.5 hours to get to this point. But now that we're here, we're frantically keeping this thing alive. I mean, it's going, but and we did it only with flint. Incredible. We were
That's
very
right.
determined to do it only with flint. We're about 120 feet from camp, and this is our water source. It is moving, it's not stagnant, and we get it as clear as possible and take it back to camp and boil it. So our camp is just over that way. And
In
it
the
is a
woods.
protected area, which is very nice. So just try and get away from the edge here as much as possible. Pretty clear water here. First I just rinse this out downstream and then get upstream. There you go. And boil that up.
So here we've got our can surrounded by hot coals so that the water shall boil. Oh, that fire's hot. Boil, water, boil. So we can drink you.
What are you doing there, Aaron?
I'm cutting down a tree, Chris.
What are you gonna use it for?
I don't know.
It's quite a tree. Is it dead?
Burn it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
dead.
Burn it.
Burn
Do
it.
something with it.
Okay.
Chris is holding up the
Yes.
tree.
So what we're doing is we're building our lean-to here, and we're using the paracord from the belt. And looks like it takes about, this is probably about an 8-foot length. And so either the wristband or the belt would be plenty to be able to do this type of thing. But looks like we'll be using also on the whole part of the lean-to as well.
So there's the frame for our lean-to. It'll shelter all three of us in the night. A more completed version of our frame. So right now I'm layering branches on our lean-to from bottom to top, like shingles. Give you a better view. Yes. So this here is the beginning of our bed, raised bed, raised off the ground because you can lose up to 80% of your body heat to the ground at night if you sleep directly on it. So we're going to try not to sleep directly on it. Hello.
What are you up to?
I'm trying out the bed.
So you're making this bed.
It's got a few gaps.
Oh my gosh.
But with that bedding over there,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be...
We do have, so what we're doing here is we're pulling the tips of fir trees and pulling them all off into this bedding, which is quite comfortable actually.
Chris is harvesting. Ben's going to start spreading our bedding down on the bed,
Spreading the bedding.
which has larger things. What are they called? Branches, fir branches, spread out, and now the finer fir bedding is being thrown down by Ben.
So in the process of trying to figure out how to capture animals, one of the very simple tools to do so is called a bola. It's right here, and it is 3 stones that are tied together as such, and it is thrown to ensnare the legs or the wings, potentially, of a creature. And the way you make it is very simple. Just take some of the paracord and wrap it around these rocks real nice and tight, tie it off, and do that with 3 of them. Tie them all together here on the top, and you have your working bola. You work it by taking the lightest stone, holding it, and wrapping around once like that, and then tossing it. Or if you need to go overhand, you can also go like that and throw it like that. So let me give you a little taste here. I'm gonna try and aim for that tree in front of me. And you just wrap around, throw, just like that.
So right now I'm making some snares for small game, like squirrels and chipmunks, rabbits, depending on how big you make the opening, which you can adjust, and even birds can sometimes be snared with these. So what I'm going to do is just make a loop and give myself lots of wire here, and you're just going to loop around one time. Oops. Get a nice eye over it like that, and then loop it around again in kind of a figure 8, just to give it some extra locking power so it doesn't slip back open. And then just take all the excess wire, wrap it around the loop. So there you go. Now you have a nice snare that'll cinch down on the little critter. If you want to keep it from opening up too much, because if you want a squirrel or something, you can't have it so far open that they can just walk through. You can kink that back like that so it won't open any further, but it'll still close. And this one I've just made with a snare on each end, so you can wrap it around a pole or something and make a squirrel pole or something like that. I've made what's called a squirrel pole. You just take a long pole, and I've made with the wire from the Savage Expedition Gear belt buckle, the snare wire, I've made a bunch of snares. I think there's 10 snares on here, and they're positioned around the pole in various ways. And yeah, it's just a little self-locking snare. Hopefully the squirrel will get caught in as he climbs the pole onto the tree. And I've chosen one of the only trees in the area that has all of these little pieces of pine cone, a sign that the base of the tree is just covered with them, so it's a sign that there's hopefully a squirrel in this tree. And hopefully he will use our pole to get up it. Come back later and see what happens. Who knows? So, we heard some frogs in the marsh over there. So we're thinking, since we haven't seen a lot of squirrels and stuff, that we might need to eat some frog legs for dinner tonight. So Ben and I are making frog sticks.
spears.
I'm going for the three-pronged approach with 3 prongs. Ben has split his into 2 prongs, tied with some Savage Expedition Gear cord.
And we'll see how they work.
Yes.
So far, the only food that we've been able to find is dandelions. And so tonight we're just planning on a dandelion dinner. And so right now my pockets are just full of dandelions, which we're lucky to have them all over the place. But that's going to be about all we're going to eat. Just cooking up my dandelion. It's all we've been able to find for food so far. So really, once you grill it here like this, it kind of tastes like maybe barbecued spinach or something. It's not too bad. Yeah.
That's what I'm munching on right now.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
So as we're cleaning up camp, we just want to make a note that although we came out here to show you just what Savage Expedition Gear can do in a real survival situation, we by no means were in one and wanted to make sure we did not enter one. So we did have all appropriate safety and medical material nearby in case we did need it.
As awesome as this trip was, we don't recommend that you take your Savage Expedition Gear out into the wilderness only with that and use it unless you actually have to. So please take it with you camping, take it with you into the wilderness, but use it when you have to.